What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with RotaryCraft. Now today, guys, we finally get to jump into a lot of the fun RotaryCraft stuff, and we're going to be working towards getting a grinder running. Now the grinder is one of the most important early game things from RotaryCraft because it's what's going to let us get lubricant, which we're going to use in gearboxes and some other things, which I will talk about later. And along with that, it's going to allow us to get some pretty early game ore duplication. So, or multiplication, I should say, because I believe you get 3 if we want to look at the uses for iron. If we flip over, you can see in a grinder you should get 3 iron ore flakes, and then if you look at uses for that, you can see each one is 1 iron ingot. So pretty much that's what we're going for today, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get that. It's not simple like all the other mods that I've messed around with, because pretty much we're going to start with a DC engine, which is one of the easiest ways to get power, but it's not super effective. We're going to use that to power a pump through a gearbox, and the pump is going to pump water into the steam engine, which is then going to use another gearbox to get power for the grinder. So a lot of stuff we have to do, a lot of crafting we have to do. So this chest is where I'm going to probably store all the stuff that we need to use for the episode. If you guys didn't see in the IC2 series, I pretty much have one chest where I put most of the stuff we're going to be using for crafting and such, and I just go into that at the beginning of every episode so you had a general idea of what I'm going to be using. So we're going to be using a lot of steel, and I do have some iron that I have not turned into steel yet, so I'm going to grab the rest out of here. And I'm going to leave a little bit of iron. We'll process 9. There is one thing I wanted to show though. Someone commented saying that I should be using coal coke, and that is completely true. I should be using that. If you're curious how you get it, you can just take a blast furnace. It only needs to be 400 degrees Celsius, and then you just throw coal in there and you let it process, and it'll give you coal coke. So really easy to get. It's just a little bit time consuming, barely at all, but you get that, and then you throw it in place of the regular coal, and it has a chance of giving you extra iron ingots. So we're going to fill this up. I do not believe it's a bonus item every time, but I did process 27 earlier and I got 30, so it is a little nice to have, and it really doesn't require anything except investing maybe like 5 seconds to get. So, okay, so we only got 9 there, unfortunately, but I think we should be good to go on the steel for this episode. If not, I will hop off camera and get some more. But we need to start things out by getting the DC electric engine. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but we are going to have to take a trip to the Nether eventually, but that'll be to get netherrack for the steam engine, so that'll be a little bit down the road. So this one's just going to require a lot of crafting in here. We got the shaft unit, which is just going to require a lot of steel. So pretty much all I need is just redstone and steel for this one. And I guess I can just grab all of this out of here, and we can head over. I don't think we can do this in here. Yeah, okay, so we can't craft stuff like this in here. We have to craft it in the regular crafting table, and then we have to move it over. So we have to do that and that, and we should be good now to actually craft in here. Now my question is, I can shift click in here. Okay, so that's nice. It is a little glitchy with the items you can see with the tag, but so we want the DC electric engine. That was a really weird noise. Okay, so the DC electric engine, we can just look in here and look at the description of this. The direct current or DC engine is the simplest to make and operate. All it requires to function is a continuous redstone signal. So I'm probably just going to throw a redstone torch down next to it, which is fine for making it work. The ease comes at a cost though. These engines are the weakest of all, outputting 4 nanometers of torque at 256 radians per second, and I believe that's a period, so 1.024 kilowatts. Maybe it's a comma, but it's irrelevant because all of them are going to use that same unit, so of power. So essentially that's what it outputs, and we can use gearboxes and such, and we are going to convert the nanometers of torque and the speed, but maintain the power. And that's the strength of gearboxes. So what we're going to be using this for is making the pump. So we need to go back and we need to go to, believe it is, okay, so it is production. So if we go down here, you can see we have the pump. We're going to craft that in a second, but the pump will, when provided with power, suck up. The pump will, when provided with power, will. Okay, so that's a little typo there. I thought I read that wrong, but it will suck up liquids from the surrounding area and pump them into pipes for transport to a machine that can use it. Water is often used as coolant while lava is pumped to reservoir. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. We're using it for water. Now, if we flip over to the next page, you can see it requires the, okay, so it was a period there. So it's going to require 1024 watts, and it's going to require 8 nanometers of torque. Now, you might notice that that is 2 times as much torque as the DC engine can provide. So there's nothing in here about radians per second, meaning that we can decrease the radians per second, but increase the torque using a gearbox of 2 to 1, and it will give us the same amount of power, but it will multiply the torque by 2, and that'll allow us to power the pump at full capacity, which will then allow us to get water for the steam engine. So Wow, that was really loud when you exit out of that. But we need to make the pump now, and should be right here. So this one's going to be using liquid pipes, and that's perfectly fine because crafting these, it is kind of annoying to craft them, but you get 16, so it's a little expensive just for a pipe, but because you get 16 and we're going to need to use them later, it's perfectly fine. Oh, so these ones do get crafted in there. I guess I can look in the crafting recipe, so like this doesn't get crafted in there, but this does get crafted in there. Okay, so we're going to take out these liquid pipes, and now we have 16. We only need 3 for this one. Other than that, we need to craft a couple more of these base panels. Yeah, okay, so we only have 1, unfortunately. We need 2, so we waste a little bit there. Not really a waste. This is probably similar to immersive engineering, where I'm going to have a lot of this random stuff left over and be able to use it eventually, but not right away. So now we need the impeller. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but we need 4 steel for that. So this one's going to be 9, and then we get the steel gears, which we will be using later today. So get that, and like that, and there we go. Okay, so burning through all this steel that we have, but I thought we should be able to get that. Oh, we need a glass pane too. Okay, I actually might need more glass eventually. Now we should be good to go. Okay, there we go. We got the pump, and so we can start setting these up. So I'm pretty sure I'm just going to set it up right here, and one thing that is advised is to leave a 3x3 of water for your DC electric engine. And don't worry, I will expand the base a lot right after this episode. I was just making sure that we had enough room for what we're doing today. But essentially, you're going to want a 3x3 because according to the wiki, the pump can actually, if you're using a 3x1 or a 2x2, it can actually pump out all the water. So I didn't experience that, but just to be on the safe side, we're going to do a 3x3. It's not that much of an issue. And wasting a little bit of stone here to throw down the pump. And you can see it's got these green blocks. That's where you can input the power from. And you can see that the kind of, I guess you call it the shaft right there, or whatever is going to be rotating in that is facing that direction too. So if you wanted to connect a shaft to that, you'd want to make sure it's on this side or this side. So now we can break this. And this is actually kind of weird positioning for this, just because I kind of got to dig into this wall over here. So I guess this will be the start of expanding the base. Oh my gosh, okay, we're digging out into the real world out here. That's not good. Okay, well, we'll kind of cover this up. No one needs to know that there's the real world out here. We'll just hide ourselves inside like we always do, and I will deal with that later, but okay. So we'll make this look all nice again. There we go. Just pretend that didn't happen. Okay. So we're going to throw down the DC electric engine right over there. And you can see that it's got a red box right here, which is going to be overlapping with the green box for the pump, which is pretty much where we're going to put our gearbox. And what we can do is, if we wanted to start this, I can go just make a redstone torch real quick, and it'll actually kick on. Now, one thing I want to tell you guys right now, and you're probably expecting this if you've played with RotaryCraft before, is this is going to be super loud. Oh wait, no it's not. That's because I went into the configs and I turned off the engine sounds. That might seem a little weird because you'd probably want these running to make it sound realistic and stuff, but they're really annoying, okay? There's no way that you guys would want these running throughout the whole episode, especially if this is always on. So if you guys want to know what they sound like, you can go look up a video for it. I will have a link in the description that teaches you how to go into the config, and you can turn them down from the original, which is 1.0. You can go down to like whatever fraction of a volume you want, or you can just turn them off altogether by setting a value to false. So I will put that in the description, but unless you guys literally all want this to be on, I'm not going to turn it on, because this DC electric engine is literally like if someone had nails on a chalkboard. So just a fair warning, but this thing is now running. You can see this shaft right here is spinning. Now what I want to discuss is power. So this is generating power, but it's not the typical kind of power. It's not the power that you would think of when you're throwing, you know, like we did before, cactus into a generator with IC2 or coal or whatever into a generator, and then you have a wire that goes to store it somewhere. That's not what this is. It's generating power that needs to be either consumed or dissipate instantaneously. Like right now, this power is going nowhere because this is rotating and doing nothing with it. If we were to put it into the pump, it would immediately consume it. It wouldn't stockpile power. It would need to have power going to it consistently, and it has no buffer because the power is coming from a shaft rotating, which will rotate the shaft in here. So you don't really store it, you just kind of have it continuously running. So power is based on the speed and the torque of what you're actually using. So one thing to keep in mind, it is using the same terminology as other mods, but it's not actually the same. So don't get confused thinking it might be EU or RF or something like that. that. It is not. So one thing I wanted to point out. But now what we can do is set up, I guess we can attach our, where is it, our liquid pipe over here. And there are a couple things that I would like to do first. So I'd like to set up the steam engine over here first and finish setting everything up before I start doing gearboxes. And the reason is because as gearboxes run, they break if you don't have lubricant. And the only way to get lubricant for this is going to be to run the grinder, and the only way to run that is to put gearboxes in. So it is a little bit dangerous too, because at one point or another, we actually could accidentally make the steam engine explode when we're transitioning from gearbox to gearbox. So I want to get everything set up first before we actually do that. So we're going to take a little trip to the nether and literally just get one piece of netherrack. I'm going to make the nether portal downstairs at the end of the mine like I always do. And yes, I did break the blocks up here so my head's not constantly bumping on the top of the ceiling when we're going down. But we can just set it up somewhere down here. I actually ran out of stairs, so I had to make this stupid little thing right here. But I guess we can set it up. We can just put it right here, because why not? It's actually going to be a little bit weird because there's kind of like a cave back here, but it should be fine. Oh, no. Gosh, now I got to break this. I knew I was going to do that. Now I got to break it on camera. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is kind of slow to break. So, oh, there we go. Okay, now we got to get back up there. Darn it. Okay, get some cobble out. Rough start to this. Rough start. Okay, so start building the nether portal. And should be good here. There we go. Take a quick trip to the nether. Hopefully there's no complications. I don't know why there would be, but you probably do want to get a nether portal very fast, because you don't necessarily need a nether portal if you're going to be using, ooh, fancy. You don't necessarily need a nether portal if you're going to be using the steam engine, because you can use lava and a cooling fin. But it is a little bit easier to just get netherrack and light that on fire under it, because it is a little bit annoying to have to make a cooling fin. And oh, okay, so it's in here. Got a little disoriented there, but go back upstairs and we can start making, we do a little bit more crafting. Hopefully we have enough steel for this to make the steam engine. So another thing that I want to do now that we're inside is, okay, so the render distance is down to 5 chunks. I wanted to make sure that was down so that we're not getting any FPS drops or anything. Okay, so now we need to go to make the steam engine. And this is what the water is going to go to. The fire below it is going to heat it up, and then the water is going to get pumped in. So we do need a gold ingot for this, which I can easily make. I just got to come in here, grab out the gold that I have, and toss it in there. Now, while that's cooking, we get to do a little bit more crafting. So 3 cobble at the top, easy. We have the shaft unit. We have the 2 base panels. So all we need to do is make another impeller, which we can easily do because we have extra steel gears. And actually, we probably should be pretty good on steel today. And the last thing we need to make is this condenser right here, which is going to require some more of these liquid pipes. And we get 2, so maybe we'll be able to use that later. And I already forgot what it was. Let's just shift click that in there. Okay, so condenser. And now we should be good to go once we get this gold out of here. And we're going to craft it in here. Shift click it in. And there we go. We have the steam engine. So that sounds really weird. It sounds literally like rocks falling. It's a little weird. But the steam engine is going to be going, I guess we could put it right here. Yeah, I guess we can put it right here. This should be fine. Like that. And you can see that this kind of like attaches to it a little bit, and that'll pump water in there. And you can see that it kind of lit up a block out over here, because that is where it's going to start spinning when it goes. And you can pretty easily tell by where the shaft is. And what we need to do now is come down here. Oh, yeah, that's why. Okay, so I was wondering why when I tested this out I moved it over one. There was a good reason for that. So we do need to break this. The one thing I love that we're not playing IC2 anymore, just because I can actually break stuff and not have to worry about it getting destroyed. So we place this down. We are going to need another liquid pipe. And the reason behind this is because the water is right there, and we need to get below this, put down the netherrack, and light it on fire. So yeah, I guess I can cook a little bit more stone down just so that we can keep it nice and fancy in here. One thing I want to note too is there actually is a way to kind of manually lower the in-game volume of these engines when they're running, and that is by, oh, you know what, actually I need to put this fire out. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. But the way you actually can lower them is by putting wool around them. But the reason that I don't really like that is because it works fine for the DC engine, but the minute you try to do it with the steam engine, you start lighting your wool on fire, and it's bad. So that's the main reason, if you're curious, why I didn't use that technique. That's why I didn't do that. I think the sound muffler might be able to work from extra utilities, but I didn't want to try that out, so something to keep in mind. So if we access the steam engine right now, there's a couple different things that you can see. You can see fuel, which is going to be water. You can build up an internal buffer of that. And then this is the temperature right here. Now the reason I stopped that fire is because if this gets above 100 degrees Celsius and you start adding water, it'll explode. And you don't want that to happen. It can also explode if it gets too hot, which is why you need a cooling fin on it, because it can get like all the way up to 600 degrees Celsius with lava. And if you do use lava, it will increase the water consumption by 4. So that's why I'm using the netherrack and stuff. But what we can do now is another gearbox will eventually be going right here, and then the grinder is going to go right here. So we can create the grinder, and then we can go back to making the gearboxes. And I prefer to use steel for the gearboxes, but if we can't, that's okay. It just means they break a little bit faster. As far as I know, that's the only difference. But we need to go and look at the grinder. This actually might use up most of our steel that we have left, but we need to make the 3 base panels, which is really easy because all you need to do is make just 1 set of them. So that's good. So we got the base panels. We need the 2 regular steels right there. We have the steel gear right here, which is the extra one we have. So all we need to make are these saws, which is just going to be steel gears and then 4. So we can make that 3 steel gears, and then 2 of those need to be converted into saws, and we're left with 27 steel. So, oh no, no, Rage, what are you doing? Oh my god, that was horrible. I just made impellers out of habit. That was the wrong placement. I just wasted some steel. Oh, that feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. Oh, gosh. Okay, if we run out of steel, it's 100% my fault. 110% my fault. Oh, man, that was horrible. Okay. Well, we got the grinder, and that's going to be going right here. So we set this up, and you can see that this is where it's going to be getting its shaft power from. And we're going to have a gearbox right here hooking up to this. So we're going to pull out the manual. And I actually don't know, can we access it from in here? Yeah, we could. If you want to access stuff specifically, you can go into the item itself and then click info, but I'm just going to open up the manual, and we're going to go to production, and I assume it's in here. Please let it be in here. Maybe. Okay, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe we just... Nope, maybe we just don't go with this one. Oh, processing. That's definitely what it's under. Okay, grinder. Here we go. So the grinder does exactly what its name suggests. It grinds things, stone to cobble, cobble to gravel, gravel to sand, that sort of thing. It also plays a critical role with creating lubrication for gearboxes. It grinds the canola seeds into oil, which works as lubricant. This machine's operational speed goes up as the input speed does. So the required power is 4096, which is going to be what the steam engine outputs, and it requires torque of 128 nanometers, or newton meters. What am I saying? Not nanometers, newton meters. So you input it through the back, which is right here, and if we take a look, I didn't show you guys this yet, but if we look at the steam engine, you can see that it creates 32 newton meters at 512 radians per second, and it's going to generate the power that we need. It's going to generate more than the power that we need. Yeah, so the other one would require, I think, 1/4 of this, which is great. So what we can do is hook these up with a gearbox that is going to multiply this by 4. So we need a 4-to-1 gearbox right here, and we need a 2-to-1 gearbox right here. So once we get all that set up, it actually can start running. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to go and look up gearbox, and you can see there's all these different kinds. You can make them from wood, stone, steel, diamond, and bedrock. Now, bedrock don't use lubricant as far as I'm aware, but you can also repair these using gear units when you go to actually fix them. But we need this 2-to-1 gearbox, and I prefer to make a steel one if we could, so we need to mount in gear units. The gear units will require the steel gears, which we already have for this one, so we can easily make those if we need it, but I do want to look at the mount because we might not be able to make that. We can at least make one. We can at least make one of these. So we'll do one steel one, and we'll see how it goes. So, oh, is it like that? What was it like? Oh, it was like this. Okay. I get it now. We're gonna be like a little short on iron, unfortunately. So, or on steel. I did kind of screw that up a little bit. That was kind of bad. Okay, well, we need to make these and then go like this, and then like this. Get the gear units and go in here. And what is that? Scrap? Interesting. So there we go. Steel 2-to-1 gearbox. Damage 0%. So if I were to throw that down right here, it would start getting out and powering the pump, which would start getting water and giving it over here, and then we could start heating this thing up. Now what I want to do is come back over here, craft the other gearbox, which we're probably just going to make out of stone then, because why not? And stone gearbox. Okay, so we need the 4-to-1 for that one. And where is it? Stone 4-to-1 gearbox. As far as I know, we should look this up right now, because I'm not positive on this one. This is one thing I don't know very well, but I want to look at gearboxes. So gearboxes, change the ratio, affect torque and speed, blah, blah, blah. Lubricant to work. Gearboxes gradually wear down. Shafts, gearboxes subject to material failure. I want to see if it says anything about the worn gears, fast twin shaft, torque. Okay, so I'm curious. The main thing I'm curious about is if, yeah, this isn't even the right one. I'm mainly curious about using different materials if it just breaks faster, which I assume it does. So we'll assume that that's how it works, and we got to start crafting this. So take this, get the stone slabs, and actually going to click this out here. It's 4-to-1 that we need. So we're good on the stone slabs. Now we need the gear unit, which means we need these double gear units. Okay, so a little bit of crafting here. So we're going to need 2 sets of these because we got to make the double gear, 2 double gear units, which will be like this. And then we need the stone like that, 2 of these, such as this. And do we actually need the rods for that too? We might actually need rods for that too. So let's see if this is it. Gosh, so much clicking. Okay, so let's see if it's like this. I think it's probably like this. Yeah, okay, so the 4 gear unit. Then we got to come back over here. And, oh, right, we got to make the mount for it. There we go. 4-to-1 gearbox. So, this one is going to get thrown down right here. And you can see it's taking from this and giving to here, which is great. And it will, if you click on it, you can see there's no lubricant in it. Its ratio is 4. Torque mode, power it's getting right now is 0. Damage 0%. And then we can throw down the steel gearbox. I think we should be good to go if we just throw down the steel gearbox. I'll break this block right here so I can set the fire, and hopefully nothing goes wrong. I really hope nothing goes wrong. So we set that down right there. It starts pumping out water, which goes in here, which means we need to light the fire down here. This will start heating up. It's got some fuel in there. This is running, and it almost immediately, as far as I'm aware, stops working with this, which is a little bit unfortunate because it's starting to get damaged. So I'm going to break this. We got a little bit of water, but I think we might need to actually manually move water into this. I think you can do that. I think you might just want to right click on it. I'm going to cover this block right here real quick so I can do that. Okay, so we can manually move it. I'm pretty sure that's probably how you're supposed to initially do it until you get lubricant going back to this. And it's actually unfortunate because I kind of just screwed this one up a little bit. The reason behind that is because I don't think we can undo the damage without having to go and repair it. And it's not going to be functioning at maximum capacity if it's at 11%. But if we look at this, once it gets to a high enough temperature, it should start letting this whole thing run. And I'll just have to keep an eye on it, mainly because we're not going to get the sound from it. You can see there's a little texture clipping right there. Fun fact, that's called texture clipping if you didn't know. I worked on some video game design in my high school classes, and that always annoyed me. But this should be a high enough temperature soon, and what we need to do now is go and get some canola seeds, which I have growing out here. Now, when you get canola is kind of annoying. I think I might have mentioned this, but you get it by breaking this grass right here. You break it, and it's less common than regular seeds. But when you plant it finally, you plant it like regular plants, you break it, you can get 2 to 14 seeds. And wow, I just accidentally broke an extra one. Don't even feel like going down there, but you can get 2 to 14 seeds, so you get a lot of return. So gotta come over here, grab out the canola seeds, got a ton of them now, and this is what's gonna make lubricant for us. So you want to kind of have a farm for this because you're going to be using an okay amount. But now we can come inside, and this whole thing is actually running. And okay, we throw this canola seeds in here, and the unfortunate thing now is that this is damaged, so it's not converting it as well as it should be. So I think we actually probably needed to use an 8-to-1 gearbox. We might want to do that. You know what? I'm going to hop off camera. You would want to use a 4-to-1 with lubricant, but I think we need to switch to an 8-to-1 for this one. So I'll hop off camera, get an 8-to-1, test it out, and then we'll hop back. Okay guys, so I have this all set up. It is now working, and if you're curious as to why it's working, that is because by using an 8-to-1 gearbox, even though the power is going, or the ratio is getting less and less, the power is being less and less. It doesn't matter because this will be able to function just at a slower rate. You can use 16 to 1, 8 to 1, and 4 to 1, but this just decreases the speed. And you can see now we're getting lubricant in here from these canola seeds, which is great. So I'm going to allow these to continue processing in here, and you do get a byproduct of canola seed husk. But what we can do now is create what is known as a lubricant hose. So we can take the lubricant hose, and you can use that to transport lubricant between all of these. So what we can do is come over here. Actually, we probably need to craft it in the work table. Yes, we do. So we can make that, and one set will be more than enough. And we can then run it along the back here, and it will be able to output into this gearbox, and it automatically attaches to them, this one, and there we go. So now it will be giving these lubricant, and this one is sitting at 25% damage, but you can see it's got a lubricant, so that actually should not continue going up. This one is going to get lubricant too, so when we kick it on, eventually we'll get that in there. I'm going to wait to kick it on so that hopefully it's able to work. I think it should be able to work. Okay, so I think we actually might have screwed it up too much. I might need to go repair that before I let it function. We probably want to keep this one at 0, which is unfortunate, but I will allow this one to keep running, build up some lubricant in here. It's a little bit weird. This thing seems to keep 11 in here whenever, and it's a little weird with this pipe transporting it. But eventually, once we get this system running, we should be able to build up a little bit. I might put a reservoir in here for it, or whatever it's called. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That hurts you. That hurts you. Don't do that. Okay, so it's a... right here. So the reservoir can hold an internal buffer. If you were able to hook it up here, I might need to change the way this is piped a little bit, but we could do that if we wanted to, and eventually I probably will. It'll make it easier to build up some lubricant so that I can start processing other stuff. But that is the beginning setup, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative. I do apologize that there was a little bit of trial and error. I do my best to learn and, get enough information that I can teach you guys, but I don't know everything yet, so hopefully you'll be able to bear with me. I do want to say thank you guys so much for the great feedback you gave me on the first episode. It was phenomenal. It's been up for like a day and it's got almost 600 views and like 80 likes or something. Tons of comments. You guys seem really excited about this one, so I'm super happy for that. Also, another thing I wanted to point out is that some people, weren't super happy about the witchery video, but I do want to let you guys know that I posted in the comments there, but if you don't enjoy the witchery series, please don't go and dislike it unless I actually don't do good stuff in the video. Don't dislike it just because I'm making the series that you don't like. I will be making this series just as much as that one, and, if you don't want to watch it, I don't expect you guys to. So if you want to watch this series and not that one, like I said, that's perfectly fine. So don't feel like I'm trying to, force you guys to split up and watch, one of the episodes every day. It's perfectly okay if you don't want to do that. But thank you again for being so great with the start of the new series. If you guys found the video informative or entertaining in any way, feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot, and I will talk to you guys later.